It's just a matter of time before life gets back to normal. This entire global situation is a thing of the past, and we can continue to move forward together. But that doesn't mean that things in the world, and especially at theme parks like Walt Disney World, won't change forever. We've thought about what the parks will look like right after all of this opens. We've thought about some of the changes that may be implemented, but let's think a little bit further today. Let's consider what the parks may look like 2 years down the road after all of this is said and done. Let's talk about an obvious one first, the fingerprint scanner that you use to get into all of the Disney theme parks. Do I think that those will still exist at the entrance to all the parks in 2 years from now? No, I don't. As useful as the fingerprint reader is, and it is useful, we all have unique fingerprints, great way to securely identify who the person is, but it's just not feasible anymore. We live in a different world now. Now that all this is happening, and when it's all said and done, it will be a different world, and we have to try and reduce as many of these surfaces that we touch as possible. For years, we've seen parks and resorts and all sorts of other areas that require knowing that it's actually you who's trying to scan in, use some kind of facial recognition, and usually, not always, but usually it's you touch in with the magic band or card or whatever it is. You're not actually touching anything, you're scanning a card, and then a cast member, a crew member, whoever it is, looks at your face, sees that it's you that matches the ID, and you go in. Universal Studios Orlando uses that method, as do many other companies, not just theme parks, around the world. So it's something that has been used for some time now. But I still don't believe that's the future. I believe as a temporary fix, Disney may have cast members standing by with those tablets, and then when you touch your magic band without touching your fingerprint, your picture will come up with your profile, and they'll say, okay, you're good to go, and that'll be it, similar to Universal and other locations. But I don't believe that's the long-term solution. I think the long-term solution is some kind of facial recognition software. This software could be in the form of some very small camera near the scanning spot, or perhaps up above it. We don't know where it could be, but it scans your face like Apple's Face ID, something like that, where it knows that it's you and you go in. It turns green just like that. If it's not you, then it'll turn blue and the cast member will figure things out. Maybe you're wearing a different pair of glasses or a wig or a special hat. Maybe then it can't figure out that it's you. Cast member can confirm, yes, that is you in the picture. Would you mind taking off your hat? And there you go. It's one little extra step. It shouldn't take that much longer, and for many it'll be quicker, but it'll take away that extra surface that we would have to touch as we enter the park. Let's discuss another topic, standing in line for rides. This is a common discussion in our community. Let's say you go to Magic Kingdom, want to go on Space Mountain, you stand in line, you're standing very close to the next party, ahead and behind you. Let's pretend for a moment cast members are walking through asking everyone to keep 6 feet apart. It's feasible for a little while, but not for the long term. So what's the long-term solution to standing in line? The short answer is I don't think that there's going to be just one solution to solve standing in line. It's just not going to happen, just because there's too many factors. And I know what you're thinking, Michael, right off the bat, what about virtual queuing? Everyone can just go on their app, say I want to go on Space Mountain, 45 minutes later, 2 hours later, they go on Space Mountain. In the interim, they walk around the parks and experience it. It's a great idea in theory, but there's a problem. When we see the Disney World queues, we see standing in line for a ride. Makes a lot of sense, feels good to us, but behind the scenes, there's actually a lot of math that goes into this, where Disney planners, they actually think about how long the line has to be for the capacity. And on top of that, they use the line to get crowds away from those main areas, like Main Street USA. If no one was standing in line and it was an average park day and everyone was in a virtual queue, Main Street USA would be shoulder to shoulder every moment of every day. So that clearly isn't the solution. Now, does that mean I think virtual queuing won't be a part of the solution at all? Not at all. No, I think virtual queuing will be a big part of the solution, but it can't solve it all. It can't be the one thing that does it all. It has to be a little bit, maybe a few of the most popular rides. Makes a lot of sense, virtual queuing there. But there's got to be another step. In the next 2 years, I believe we could see another change to some of the queues. Not all of the queues, but a few. Think for a moment Toy Story Midway Mania. The queue is inside and it goes round and around and around. There's a lot of switchbacks. You go kind of past the same people again and again and again. Let's say, for example, just as an example, instead of kind of going past the same person again and again and again, they put these clear walls, just like glass or plastic, up between you and the next line over. So you're standing next to someone with a little barricade and a piece of plastic, plexiglass, right there where you can see everything that's around you, but then you're not physically sharing the same air as the person next to you. In front and behind, you can't really solve that. But on right and left, you could solve that with plexiglass or plastic, and you're kind of walking through. You can see, everyone can see each other, but that way we're all a little bit safer. I'm not sure that's a feasible solution to that many rides, but perhaps a few here and there. Just these small solutions are going to be critical. In addition to that, I believe in the next 2 years we're going to see a total revolution of how we clean not just rooms, not just restaurants, everything. The bus handle that you use to get on and off the bus, that passageway between the bus and security the security desks, and the little bowls that they use to collect your belongings when you go through security. We are going to see a total revolution of how we clean these surfaces. There are so many surfaces that have to be cleaned. We've got to find a better way. Now, does that mean using Lysol wipes after every time somebody uses one of these things? Possibly in the interim, but I don't believe that's the long-term solution. I think we're going to think of some new material that we can use that simply does not act like a regular surface. Maybe it's like a forever Lysol wipe. Think of it that way. That's actually a bowl for your keys when you go through security. So security can hand you the bowl, you put your keys in, you go through security, you grab your keys, and by the time they get to the next person, just moving it that way, the bowl is clean by itself. I don't know how, it's in the future, this is future technology here, but some new method to make sure that all of these small surfaces can be cleaned much faster. A common topic of discussion in our community now, Michael, what about temperature checks? Yes, I do believe those are going to be part of the processing as we get back into the parks in the short term, but the temperature checks that I'm thinking about for the long term, I don't think it's going to act like security. I don't think we're going to have those touchless temperature checks every single time we go into the parks for 2 years to come. I don't think so. I think that they're going to evolve. I think that there are going to be cameras in the parks that can detect temperatures from much further away. We've seen examples of this all over, not just in China, but other places as well, where you can either mount a camera to a helmet or to a larger system where it can detect temperatures of guests as they're walking by. You just have to put these cameras in certain critical locations, and then if it kind of pings and says, okay, this person has 101-degree fever, let's pull them aside and see if we can help them a little bit. Not to say, they can't go in after a certain amount of time, but they want to make sure that everyone is safe. It's a great next step. Now we get to the buffets and dining experiences, and this is where I believe we are going to see a major overhaul, not only in the next 2 years, maybe even sooner. Think for a moment about Cape May Cafe or Chef Mickey's, or even on the Disney Cruise Line. I've spoken about it before. You have those tongs. You grab the tongs, you use the tongs to grab your food, which is better and safer than just grabbing with your hand, but you use the tongs to grab your food, you put the food on your plate. No problem there. The issue is you've touched the tongs in the same spot that someone else may have touched them. It seems like an easy solution, right? We just kind of wipe the tongs off more frequently, but it just wouldn't work. There are many who have done research about this, how we can prevent this, and it looks like the best solution. Not sure if it's one that is, going to be used in the future, but the best solution would be to have the servers or someone behind the counter with glass kind of in front of the food serving you the food with the tongs that they're touching. You don't touch any tongs, you just hold your plate and they put the food on the plate. I believe that is what the future of buffet dining and other dining experiences have to be at Disney. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Michael, Disney's got a lot to change, right? They've got a lot of these buffet experiences that they've got to change in the future. Yes and no, there are plenty that do have to be changed, but think about a restaurant like Ohana. Ohana uses these large skewers where the server kind of serves you from these skewers. It makes a tremendous amount of sense for them to keep using that method, perhaps moving the skewers a little bit further away from everyone, like to another separate plate, and then handing you the food you have and not have the skewers so close to you. But you can see the solution already. They're working on it. It's already kind of built in just a little bit. Think family style further. Let's bring family style to a lot more restaurants. It would make a lot of sense. Next up, we have mobile order and pay, and I believe that mobile order and pay will take a huge leap into the future, in the not so distant future, when we come back to the park. We already have a lot of mobile order and pay, but the way it's done now, a lot of guests kind of gather around the mobile order and pay spot where you're about to hand out food, and that gathering just won't be as common nowadays. I think the mobile order and pay will really leap forward in terms of where they can bring it to. to. Let's say, for example, you're at Columbia Harbor House, and you say, okay, mobile order and pay, and you see on your table, this is just my idea, you see on your table, table number 23. All right, table number 23, you type in the number right here as you mobile order and pay, you say table 23, you click it, and you sit back. A few minutes later, server comes to you, hi, Michael, okay, here's your food at table 23. You didn't have to gather, you didn't have to wait by the register, you didn't have to touch the little register pin, to indicate that your card or Magic Band has been used. It all works. Let's use that solution. We've already got the technology. It already exists. Just give each table a number and then tell us where to sit. It solves so much. Please, Disney, that's one to use the next 2 years. Let's do it. Last but not least, let's talk about public space cleaning. And I know we discussed cleaning earlier, but I think this is going to be an evolution, perhaps not in the next 2 years, but after that, I believe we're going to see more automated cleaning technology all around Walt Disney World. Now, you may be saying to yourself, Michael, what do you mean by automated cleaning technology? I'm thinking robots. We've already seen cleaning robots at stores, at airports. They kind of rove around very slowly, cleaning floors, cleaning other surfaces, even cleaning chairs from time to time. They kind of just do their job over and over again, and there they go. And I know what you may be thinking, Michael, what about the cast members, the janitorial cast members who do so much to keep it clean for us? Are they going to lose their jobs to the robots? Not at all. I think we're going to need more janitorial and cleaning cast members because they're going to have to do like the smaller work that they already do, the handrails, the smaller nitty-gritty areas that the robots really can't go to. The robots, I think, could be used for the large public areas, sidewalks, maybe some park benches, the streets, something like that, big areas. The cast members still absolutely critical to the cleaning of other surfaces that the robots can't get to. The idea of cleaning robots, I think, is the future, but it may not be implemented at Disney as quickly as you may think, just because not only do the janitorial and cleaning cast members do an outstanding job, we really prefer interacting with humans rather than robots. I think robots could take the place maybe overnight, where they're cleaning like overnight. We don't need to see the robots. They're doing other things. But during the day, we like to interact with people. So I think having people there is absolutely critical. I want to make sure that's known to you that I believe that, but robots could kind of help with that. Those are my thoughts about what I believe is going to really be changing in the next 2 years with regard to cleaning at parks and resorts and all these places, but I'd love to hear from you. Do you think some of these ideas are going to be implemented even faster? Do you think other ideas, maybe even more popular? Robots are going to be everywhere? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being a part of the magic with me today. Until next time, have a magical day.